Welcome back to Bourbon with the Bluegrass Babes. We're here today with Paul Ragusa.
Yes.
Paul, why don't you tell us what you do?
Sure. I'm a chiropractor here in Lexington. I've been practicing for about a decade now, and I help people in pain. That's my main job. I have some other side gigs I do. I'm a former neuroanatomy professor, and I like teaching. I like helping people. So a lot of people don't know what chiropractic is.
Yeah.
And they're maybe apprehensive about coming in to see us, but our field is growing like you wouldn't believe, because there's a big demand to find someone who is not going to offer you drugs or surgery as a means to get you out of pain. And that's our thing, you know, along with physical therapists and massage therapists. And collectively we work really well together. And so that's kind of what we do day to day. Is people come into our office, they have headaches, they've got low back pain, sciatica, numb hands, numb feet. And it's all ages. It's from day 0, day 1 babies to 96-year-olds. And obviously those styles of chiropractic that we apply are different, but our goal is to allow the body to function at its best by removing issues in it, and the body does the rest of the work. So that's what we do every day.
I love that. I like that you said you try to approach pain without medication.
Yes.
Right.
Because I feel like that's our initial reactions, how we're conditioned. Like something hurts, well, give me some pills,
Yeah,
you know.
ibuprofen,
Yeah.
to, you know,
Tylenol.
whatever else you go
Right.
to.
Yeah.
Right. So years ago, this is back when I practiced in Mercer County at Bluegrass Chiro Harrisburg. Great spot, love the people there. We set up an agreement with the local high schools, and all the varsity athletes there got free chiropractic care in an effort to reduce the drug epidemic.
Love that.
And it went really well. We're able to showcase what we do to new young people, and also through that, their parents.
Yeah.
And we really grew it fast, and actually got on the news back then about it, to what we were doing, why we were doing it, and how we were helping it. And we had a lot of cool things that came out of it. Like Coach Terry Yeast, he was, and still is, I believe, the head coach for track, and got to help a lot of his athletes, and they performed really well, and they won state and did a lot of cool stuff. So yeah, the drug epidemic's a real thing, and it's been a blessing to be a part of that solution. Outside of my family practice, I also have practices that specialize in drug rehab facilities, helping individuals that are struggling with addiction. And I've got some great partners and some great teams that are doing that, and we're just making all kinds of headway. It's really cool. Yeah.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved in this? What made you want to be a chiropractor?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So originally, I was a microbiologist. So I went to Kansas State University, and I loved science. It was something that stuck, nothing else did. And this awesome professor is like, it sounds like you're interested in science. We've got a guy here, a professor that is, who's got a lab, and he's looking for somebody to do the grunt work, clean the dishes, sterilize the equipment. I'm like, yeah, it's me, I want to do it. So I got into a research lab at a really young age, at 18, 19 years old, and worked on this bacteria with these graduates that are getting their thesis, and how the microbes work, specifically how one bacteria transforms, or better yet, shares its antibiotic resistance with another. And so I got into that, was there for 4 or 5 years, earned my bachelor's, and then re-entered into the master's program, and ended up doing water purification with a Danish group. And we were using, people probably are familiar with this life straw.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we were kind of making a version of that, but using silver ion particles. And so water would go through it, it would kill the microbe, and it was me and my buddy's job, a virologist's job, to kind of study how effective it was, were there any radioisotopes that came off, and that thing. And during that time, it was amazing, but unfortunately my professor who owned that lab suddenly passed away from accidentally overdosing on Parkinson's meds.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
horrible. Yeah, Dr. Marchin, he was brilliant, and unfortunately his health was deteriorating, and it was just an accident. So what that did to the lab is university policy that the university absorbs any remainder funds. So that means me and my buddy's master's work was all sucked away. We had no funding to do more work. So we were thrown to the wolves, more or less, and we had to give these escalator talks, right, or elevator talks, whatever part of the mall you're in, I guess. And it was it was nerve-wracking. It was scary because we walked into this group and it was these university distinguished professors. Like this guy came up with nanoparticles, which are used in paints to clean microbes. They got them in airplanes now and everywhere. But this guy came up with it, and we had to tell him why we needed money and how it could benefit him. And so we started using his particles with our filtration process, and also had to get money from the Danish group, who I was doing the work for originally, and show them how effective it was. And it was the best experience and also the worst experience, because simultaneously I realized that this is what life would be like when I graduated.
Yeah.
And it's not what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because I love the academic part. I love learning about new techniques or new things. Every day at the lab was something, it was an experiment, right? So you get to learn new things. So that showed me this is not what I want to do. And on my commute to and from the lab, there was a chiropractic office, and I called them up randomly. It's one of those God things. It's like, you need to, like, I'm just going to keep, you got to do this. And I called him up. His name is Dr. Kenyon Erickson. He's still practicing in Manhattan, Kansas. It was as random as you just dial on the phone. I'm like, I don't know who you are. You don't know who I am. Can I come shadow you for just half a day? And he's like, let me call. The receptionist is like, let me call you back. Talk to him. Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And he's like, yeah, come on in. And I got in there and I got to watch him interact with his patients. And almost all of them gave him hugs. They were so happy to see him. And people walked in with pain, but walked out feeling great. It's like, where has this been all my life? I've never seen this. I played a lot of sports. Soccer was my life before school. And it was like, this is it. This is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. So from that point on, I was like, I'm going to do that. So I graduated with my master's on a Friday. And that following Monday, I went into the doctoral program, which is in Kansas City. And so about 10 years straight of college. It was a lot. It was a lot. My poor wife is like along for the ride. Like, Sarah, sorry,
She's
babe.
so supportive.
We got more school to do, hon. It's been a ride. But that's how I found chiropractic, and had no idea what it was up to that point. And when I told my parents, they're like, "What the hell are you doing, Paul?" Like you had a dream, doing this microbe thing, or becoming a medical doctor, or getting to pharmacy or something, and now you're like, what?
Yeah.
It's so weird. So every time we have a content day, there's always like a reoccurring theme that people talk about.
Oh.
And the interview that we did just before you, she was saying the same thing. Like, she had this career path, this trajectory that she had planned for herself, and then
went straight off the
realized,
bat.
like, I hate this. Like, I don't want to do this at all. And then she ended up finding the career that she loves and is like excelling in.
Right.
So I just think that's so cool.
I'm not sure how old she is or what part of her life she was in, but I feel like that's what college years are for. You need to get your hands in stuff, find out what you don't like, and that's going to show you like where you fit in best.
Yes. Yeah, that's kind of what we were saying. Like, she went on all of these, not no's, but kind of like, all right, well, this is a learning opportunity. This isn't it. Let's move on.
Yeah.
And my story's similar too. Like, I took the scenic route. That's what I say. We were just talking about this.
Yep.
Like, Kaylee, you've had the most random jobs. Yes, I have, but they all serve me now. So
I feel like that's why it's
cool.
super important for like college kids to either do like internships or work during
God.
their
Yes.
like process.
So
because
valuable.
I feel like a lot of people get into careers and they're like, why?
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
why
I
am I
thought
doing
I
this?
wanted this, but I
Yes.
don't.
Yes.
Well, and not everybody will go back into school and do school for 10 years to figure it out. So.
Right. Self-discovery is so hard.
Yes.
Who am I? Who do I want to become? How am I going to get there? I mean, that is such a weird spot in everybody's life.
It is.
And then you have this, this exogenous pressure. Like, my peers know what they're doing, so I feel like I need to know what I'm doing right now.
But nobody knows.
But
what
no
they're
one knows.
They don't.
That's the biggest prank. No one has to tell
Nobody
you.
knows.
Right?
It's all a facade. Everybody
Yeah.
just likes people to think that they have it together.
Yeah.
Right.
It's social media.
It is.
social
Yeah.
media. You're like, oh, well,
It's so perfect.
Susie is just so successful. When really
Right.
Susie's freaking miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Susie
Yeah.
posts the highlights of her months.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We all post the highlights of our lives, and it's so easy to get caught up in that cycle.
It is.
And it's hard to, I'm the same way. I think all of us, like, my life also took a,
And unfortunately, there's some shame that comes with a career change.
Yes.
So then it's like, well, I don't want to change because I have to go through that conversation with my family, my friends, and whoever of like why I'm changing and all this kind of stuff, and it just doesn't feel right. It's not inviting.
And you have to start over.
Yeah.
Like, you never go into another career and enter at the same level you left.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of intimidating, especially as people get older.
Right.
Nobody wants to go in at the age of 40 and be like an entry level again.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's a very intimidating thing because they have to learn a new process.
Right.
They have to learn a new environment.
Right.
But I think it's ballsy.
I think it's ballsy,
like it.
and I think it's we work too much, and I think it's worth it. If
Why
you're
not?
miserable, if you're
Yeah.
miserable doing what you're doing, it's completely worth it.
Why-
I was
why
just
wouldn't you?
reading something the other day. Someone had posted on a random forum, and they said, "Hey, I would make a lot more money doing this job, but I was offered my dream job. You know, I don't know what to do." And almost every single comment was, "Pick your dream job every time.
Every
time."
Yeah.
You know, because you're gonna be miserable. You know, or you're gonna wonder like, what
Always
if?
going to think about it.
Yeah, regret, right? I think we're both are all afraid of is having regret, to get into the end of that line and being like, shit, should have done that.
Yeah.
Right?
Should have at least
So
tried.
how do I know that this is for me and not some made up voice in my head?
Yeah.
Because the voice in your head can be not only your own voice, but could be a family member's voice disguised as your voice.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it's like, am I becoming someone they wanted me to become, or is this me?
What I wanted.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that's a
yeah.
hard thing to determine. What all of you need to do, and I would really, and anybody watching, is write your own constitution. Define who you are, define how you became who you are, and define who you want to become. And that's something I did years ago. And it is a moment when you have those bad days, those stressful moments. It is a moment of sobriety, of like, there I am on paper. Right?
Yeah.
I can see myself right now. Is this opportunity just a dilemma, or is it something I want to become? And it'll make those choices easier. Of, is this helping me become who I want to become, or is it pushing me away? Or maybe I got to redo my constitution too. That can happen.
I think it provides clarity
Yeah.
if you take the time to do that. But
Yeah.
did you have trouble answering those questions
I
when you
would.
first sat down?
I definitely would.
It took me a few hours and a couple cigars.
I feel like, yeah. 'cause
Yeah,
it's-
absolutely.
You have to be, like, that's a hard truth to yourself.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You
yeah.
know, that you have to be completely honest with yourself.
Oh yeah.
It's a look in the mirror that a lot of people probably don't do.
No.
You know?
No.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we suppress ourselves
yeah.
and like
Yeah.
we push down our own wants and needs because, well, this is what I'm supposed to do, and this is what society, this is the path that they're laying out for me, so this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
And you don't even stop to think about,
Stop to
Is this
think,
making me
right?
happy?
I think people don't think enough.
Yeah.
And I think Earl Nightingale, who is an amazing author and motivational speaker of any time, he said once that if people said what's on their mind, they would be speechless, right? And that is so true, that people don't think enough.
Yeah.
And I think it's largely in our generation and younger generations too. It's media's in the way. We think we're supposed to become this person on the phone and not, thinking on our own. So it's a hard thing to come to terms with. But
Oh,
do the
for sure.
Constitution.
I
Love
love
you
that.
guys.
I love that
I do like
idea.
Yeah. Chisel it in stone. Like that way you know who you want to be and
Yep.
be true to it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So why do you think it's important for people to implement chiropractic care into their wellness plan?
Oh my gosh. It's affordable. You can walk into your chiropractor same day and usually get treatment. It's safe. Your car insurance is more expensive than my malpractice, right? I think that should show just how safe chiropractic is. Yes, there's risk. You can have a stroke. You can have a broken bone. You can have a sprained strain. Those things can happen. But you're more likely to have a vending machine suddenly fall on top of you.
You are more likely to sprain your ankle
Right?
at a coffee shop. I'm just saying. That has happened to me.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So there are risks, and it's not appropriate for everybody. I mean, if you've got somebody who's got osteoporosis, you need to change up your technique. You can't go in there and wail on grandma's neck. You're going to break her neck. That's unfortunate. So how do you know who's a chiropractic patient, who's not? Well, school teaches you that, right? We have examination and tests that help us understand it. Is this appropriate or inappropriate, also known as a contraindication to treatment. So I think in today's day and age, healthcare right now is, unfortunately, according to the World Health Organization, ranked 37th in the world. Like U.S. healthcare, our healthcare is ranked 37th in the world. We're
not
behind
great.
Dominican Republic, right? We're behind some really questionable countries.
Third world countries.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think most people forget that every hospital, every practice, even my own, is made to make profit, right? And so when you apply that mentality to a hospital setting or any private practice, you understand that they're not always going to show you the most affordable option. they're going to show you an option that's going to bring you the most amount of profit. And so there's, I hear these old stories from these old chiropractors about how there used to be a technique called shortwave diathermy in hospitals. And I'm generalizing here. I know Google's going to correct me somehow, right? But essentially, it's an open microwave, right? Take the door off. Don't take the door off. But you get what I'm saying, right? It's a microwave that shoots shortwave diathermy or microwaves at the pulmonary tissue in efforts to reduce lung infections. It's, from what I understand, it's been a number of years, but from what I understand, it works and helps people. But it was too cheap. It was too cheap to buy. They couldn't make enough money off of patients. It was helping too many people out. And I know.
Yeah.
But that is the reality of a capitalistic system. And I'm not trying to dog capitalism, because it's also allowed for a lot of innovation.
Right.
So you've got this, this teeter that we're on of like, man, because of capitalist society, we've got the American dream where people can create a new technique, create a new technology to help more people, but at what expense?
They're also going to want to profit off of it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, don't get me started on Big Pharma. We'll be here all night.
Right.
Wait, hold on. While we're on that subject, who was it? Is it Mark Cuban that just started the whole prescription at cost thing? Did you see that?
Yeah, that's pretty slick.
It is very slick. Did you see that?
I missed it.
Yeah, you'll have to look at it. He's like, I can't even remember the name of the
either.
website now, but Mark
Wholesale
Cuban,
cost.
Yes,
right?
he's selling it
or
at like
20% up.
Yeah,
up.
it's like not much at all compared to like the 130% markup that's usually on it.
Yeah, but I think like he's still making money.
Yes,
but, like,
he's still
not
making like a profit,
yes,
but it's not.
But it's still like affordable,
Like
and
insulin,
it's
super
almost like he's
cheap,
just
like
like trying to
anxiety.
show like this is how the
How much
pharmaceutical
money they
industry
make.
can.
Yeah,
This is how
And
they
still make
can
money.
operate and make money, but they
Right.
choose
to do even
to do
more.
this.
Yeah,
And it is, I saw that. It's very interesting, and I'm glad someone with enough resources has been able to take that
do it.
stance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Now, I gotta ask, is there like any particular like activity or sport or something that you see doing, I don't want to say damage, but seeing people come in for? Is it maybe sitting too long every day?
career,
Or is it
Oh, like offices. Yeah, we do that.
yeah,
a lot.
like
We do
sitting a lot
sitting.
or reading, or is there something that you're
Your
like,
phone.
hey, I see that all the time?
Yeah, so in this time period, it's definitely this sedentary lifestyle, right? Mostly at your phone or at your computer. And patients usually come in with things like neck pain, headaches, occasionally that pain that shoots down their arm and numbness tingling, like TV static you might get in your arm.
Describing me. I'm like, I have all of those.
Right. I think when a patient has that too, if they don't know what chiropractic is, they often go to their medical doctor, and it's often diagnosed as a pinched nerve in their neck, right? But that's not always the case. There's a lot of reasons for a pinched nerve. You can have a tight muscle here or here that causes the same symptoms. Your clavicle could be offset, and that could be pinching the nerve. It could be a tight muscle out here, pinching the nerve. 20% of the population has an extra ligament in their arm, and that causes it. It could be not even nerve related, it could be a fascial syndrome. So fascia is the outer layer of a muscle, and when that layer, that connective tissue gets too tight, it pulls on the whole thing, right? If I take my sleeve here and I pull up, of course you're gonna see more sock,
Yeah.
right? So that's what fascia is for muscles too. It's connective tissue. When you pull it up here, you get that same symptoms down here of numbness, tingling, burning,
Can
those kind of
defer
things.
pain.
So you gotta make sure your exam is like, are we dealing with neck, or are we dealing with something else, extremity?
Yeah.
So to answer your question, most of the stuff we see is probably that of sitting, computer work. A lot of people have moved to that home office.
Yes.
I do have a fair number of construction guys, a fair number of athletes that I get to treat. What else is there? Sport-wise, they say that bowling, tennis,
Hold on. Bowling?
and golf. Hold on. Bowling, tennis, and golf are the three worst sports for your disc.
Okay.
Because there's a large amount of loaded twisting, loaded flexion and the twisting is bad for your disc. I've also seen things like a stewardess, airline stewardess, and who was the other one? I can't remember. Have some of the worst shoulders. Because they would,
This?
well, right, with the mask on, that whole thing. No, because of the suitcases, right?
They're pulling up.
In and out all day long.
Yeah.
So I could see that.
I've never had a stewardess
You know,
fit my suitcase.
Me
in
either.
Everything. I'm just saying.
Always like you're doing it on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But each occupation does tend to have their own
Like their own
ailments.
little, yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
That's pretty cool.
Is there like a daily practice that we could do at home to, like, for wellness checks type of thing?
At home,
Yeah.
flexibility.
Okay.
Oh my
Stretching.
gosh.
Okay.
So like yoga.
My personal opinion is that flexibility is more important than strength. And as we age like trees, we petrify, we get tighter and tougher. And so
Yeah.
it's
I
really
can see
important
that,
to
yeah.
stay hydrated, get your nutrition in and stretch. Yeah, so yoga, the Pilates, those are great
Hard
tools.
So I'm
I'm
reaching my
0 out of
toes.
3 on that.
Right.
0 out of 3.
So those are some
fine.
great things. that
No, but I do
pass.
like that you said that because that's very like holistic. You know,
Yes.
like talking about you're drinking enough water, your, you know, nutrition, like
Yeah.
everything really is connected, not just in our bodies. I joke, I've said this on another episode, I had back surgery and my chest hurt. And I will never forget that. And I was like, my chest hurts, like what's going on? And the nurse was like, everything's connected.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but I like that you take such a holistic view, like, hey, like, you know, are you drinking enough
basics.
water?
How's your
Yeah.
The
sleep?
basics, yeah.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. How'd you sleep? And
What's your stress level like? I mean, are you
Oh,
freaking
God.
out about everything right now?
Oh, you're just hitting all the
Anyway.
hot topics.
Yeah.
you are really on
Yeah,
it.
but I like it though because it's easy and let's just like everybody I feel like nowadays just doesn't have time for things. They're busy and stretching is something that you can literally be watching TV and
Right.
like
Yes.
sitting on the floor and doing
Oh
your
my
stretches
gosh,
or whatever
yes.
and you can still, you know, watch your Game of Thrones or whatever
Yeah.
is being broadcast at that time. So
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
yeah, I like it.
Yeah, nutrition
So,
and that.
if you had to say, what would you like? What is the legacy you want to leave behind from this? Like, what is
Change
that?
healthcare.
Change healthcare.
Without
it's a
doubt.
big legacy.
Yeah.
That is
We're
a
on the right
big
track.
legacy.
Yeah.
What we're doing now, we're on the right track.
Yep.
We really are. You're 28 times less likely to need surgery if you see a chiropractor first. I mean, that's huge. Not even
That's
twice
huge.
or 3
Yeah.
times or 4,
Holy
28 times
cow.
less likely to surgery. We help people without drugs or surgery. That's the other big thing. So if you have an ailment, not only can we prevent the surgery from ever happening, but we can get you out of pain, and it's not going to take you weeks to go into the doctor.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to dog the medical system because I've got a lot of friends through medical, and they help a lot of people. They save lives, right? I do think their life today, though, is chaotic.
Yes.
I feel so bad for those people in that profession, especially post-COVID.
Oh yeah.
I mean, their work schedule's nuts. I mean, right now I run a few practices, and it's trying to balance the insurance game with insurance notes, the prior authorization, scheduling and rescheduling a patient, training your staff and an associate if you've got one. Holy guacamole,
Oh yeah.
right? It's nuts. As my world is a private practice, I couldn't imagine being a medical doctor and having to remember the new medications, the side effects, the fact that this person's already taken this med, so therefore they can't have this med because they cross-react and cause this side effect. I mean,
this allergy.
talk about
Yeah.
nuts.
And let's just say, I feel like, and this may just be my opinion, I feel like people have gotten a little crazier after COVID.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
more
definitely
stressed,
different.
more, yeah, like
Yeah.
people definitely are like on edge more. I feel
Right.
like I don't know if maybe everybody got used to being alone and like with their
I don't
people.
even know
but
if it's COVID related. I just think
Maybe-
there's so much distrust.
yes,
And-
especially with the medical field. I feel like you
Oh
know
my
what I mean.
gosh.
Everybody's so skeptical, like
Very.
of everything. They see stuff on TikTok, they see stuff on
I
Facebook.
know.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And yeah, I saw a TikTok the other day, and it was this guy had went into the emergency room, and he had made I mean, he had every right to, but there was a paperwork that he had to sign that was basically stating that like each physician he saw, like they couldn't guarantee it was covered by his insurance, and he was like, well, like I'm not okay with that. Like if I'm here, I want to know if they're going to accept my insurance or not. I don't want to get stuck with some bill. And
Right.
he was there for like 6 hours before they even treated him,
Right.
because nobody could like tell him for sure if that physician was going to be covered or not.
In network, right?
And so he was so skeptical and stuff because he didn't want to get sent home with some $1,000 bill, you know, just to be
Absolutely,
seen.
right? And I think taking that one step further too is a lot of folks don't realize that if you leave your state, there's a strong possibility your health insurance will not cover you for an injury outside the state.
Yeah.
See?
And so if you've got parents or grandparents that are moving to Florida, but they reside in another state, depending on which Medicare policy they have or don't have, it could really influence
Yeah.
if they have that unfortunate heart attack and brings them to the hospital in Florida. It may not cover them in
Wow.
full.
Yeah.
So there's different policies you can get nationwide coverage, but it's so convoluted. You know, I have a lady who just started with me again, not again, but another new patient started with me yesterday. She's like, what do I owe? I'm like, well, I just printed your benefits off this website, and according to this, you have a individual deductible, family deductible, but you've met your family deductible, so therefore you have a co-insurance.
It's just
But I don't know what it'll be because I have to wait for the EOB to come back,
Yep.
which, by the way, is like,
Explanation of benefits.
yeah, it's that
Explanation of
receipt,
benefits,
right?
yep.
And so, but that'll take 2 to 3 weeks. And she's like, well, I need you now.
Yeah.
I can't really wait 2 or 3 weeks to find out what the bill will be.
how much I may or may not
Right.
owe. Yeah.
So it's our strong opinion and our strong effort to be very transparent on what the bill will be, how the codes work, what an allowed amount is, what a deductible is, and then try to make those charges around, if insurance is not covering, around $50. Unless, I mean, you have people with all sorts of different things and they might need more therapy. So you might have someone who buys a $300 bill, but they'll know that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to be this blindside thing. I remember in
Yeah.
college, I got referred to an ophthalmologist. I had a thing going on, and this ophthalmologist walks in. She looks at me. She's like, I can't help you. She leaves the room, and I go home, and I'll never forget it. And a week later, I get a bill for $150. And I was so pissed because like, she came in for 5 minutes. She told me
Yeah.
she can't help me. She sent me out the door. So I called up the facility. This is about 15 years ago when I was at K-State. And, you know, we had our own respective health care for students while I was a student. And see, I started there, and they referred me to the ophthalmologist. Well, I called the ophthalmologist office up, and I'm like, what is this bill? Like, why is this so huge? Like, I don't understand this. And she's like, well, first off, the doctor referred you here, so we got to pay him, which is a big no-no nowadays. Yeah, you cannot, I cannot
like a
refer any
referral
of you
fee?
ladies
Yeah.
to another doctor and then get a kickback.
Get paid. Kickback. We know
Right?
that.
Yeah, well, we know about that, don't
Yeah, so there was a kickback that I was having to pay, and then her visit.
Yeah.
And
The
I
3
was
seconds she
so
walked in there.
so pissed because I still had this problem with my eye, and she's like, didn't give me any solution, and I owe money I don't even have. You know, I'm a poor college kid. So it is very much important to us that the patients know. At worst case scenario, your bill may be $50 or $100. We try to make that
And
clear.
that's,
Love
I feel
that.
like, very
Love that
affordable for
transparency.
most people.
Yeah.
And it kind of takes that ease off because even if I do go to a doctor's office, if they can at least give me like, you know, this is worst case scenario,
Right.
I can settle with that. Like I
Right.
get that like, you know, insurance is different for everybody and stuff,
Right.
but I would definitely be intimidated to walk in and like not know because things can be expensive. I mean,
Especially right now.
doctor bill, like, everything's
Yeah,
expensive
Thanksgiving
right now.
dinner.
Yeah, we
Yes.
were literally
Breaking
just
the
talking
bank.
about how
Talking
much
about-
Thanksgiving dinner
was
was.
like costing,
Yeah.
because I went grocery shopping last week, and got, like
Oh.
the turkey and all of that.
Oh,
and It's
yeah.
just like crazy how everything is right now.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it is.
Those damn birds, I swear.
Them
I
birds.
know. Not getting any cheaper. I don't know what's up.
No.
Okay, so if there was one piece of wisdom that you would want to share with your younger self, what would that be?
So there's a couple. The biggest one is understanding a friend, an enemy, and a counterfeit friend.
Counterfeit friend.
Oh.
Yeah.
Elaborate on
like
counterfeit
that.
friend.
It's somebody worse than an enemy.
Yeah.
Right?
I just
Because
got goosebumps.
they're playing the game,
Interesting.
right? They're playing with your friend, but they're talking crap on you behind your back, or not throwing the same effort into the relationship. And that drained me for years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so being aware of that possibility would be probably something I would talk to them about. Yeah, that's a big one.
I like that.
I
And
was
then
just on the phone with
Yep.
a lady before you got here. We were having
And that came up.
and that
Very
came
similar
up.
Yeah.
conversation.
Very
yes.
similar
Whoa.
conversation.
Very,
Yeah.
very similar. It's just weird how the universe sends
I
you
know.
signals.
Just kind of like brings it in. Yeah.
We're just gonna slide that in there. But yeah, we were talking about how people in your circles, you have to be very, very careful who you let
Yeah.
in, because you are who you work with. What's the saying? You are most like the top five.
Top five
yes,
people,
the
yeah.
five people you
Yeah.
hang out with.
Right.
And you have to be very, very careful
Yeah.
who.
Well, and I feel like the counterfeit friends, they know the most about you, and it's the easiest to use against you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like that term, the counterfeit friend.
I do
I haven't
too.
heard that before.
I haven't
You've
either.
enlightened me
I'm a
today.
fan.
Yeah, it's something. I'm not sure. I don't know where it came from. I'm not sure if I
Counterfeit
came up
friends.
with
I
it
like
or
it.
not. But at any rate, the second thing is though is you know, I had a lot of anxiety being on camera, talking to people, that kind of thing. And then at some point, I heard, I think it was Naval Ravikant. He's the owner of Angels List. He invests in new startup companies, Silicon Valley guy. I'm pretty sure it was him who said that people are just fleshy robots. And once you understand the programming of people, then you realize how alike we all are. Mm-hmm. You know, when I came into this room today, what did we do? We greeted each other, right? I came up and I stuck my hand out, and you knew from auto-program to shake my hand, and I said, hi, I'm so-and-so, and you would say, hi, I'm so-and-so, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of programming going on here.
Oh, yeah.
If I put out there that I'm from a certain state, it's usually the law or it's a process that you're going to put out the certain state you're from as well, right? So when you start connecting those dots and realizing how alike we really are, at least my anxiety went down a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a kid, my mom used to say, she's a little Southern lady. She said, she would always say, well, Leanne, everybody puts their britches on the same way.
Yep.
And that,
One thing at a time.
you know, and like just, you know, everyone is, you know, we're all made of the same cloth. You know, we're all trying to figure it out and make it. And I think that's excellent advice.
That's kind of why we wanted to start this podcast in the first place, honestly, just to kind of show that we are very similar more than we are different. And for anybody wanting to pursue entrepreneurship, like, just because we're entrepreneurs already doesn't mean that we didn't have those doubts and we haven't struggled and we haven't
Or still don't struggle, you know.
still struggling and fighting every day to freaking make it work. And like, they're completely capable of doing the same thing. So
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship is definitely not like a one and done type thing. It's an everyday thing.
it's
You know?
an everyday thing.
Yeah.
Without doubt. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What would you guys tell your younger selves outside of those things?
Oh gosh, nobody's ever turned to flip the script.
I think it would be, don't be scared.
I was gonna say, do it scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Do it.
I was
Okay,
a
yeah, I can
very
see that.
shy child.
Sure.
Very shy. And my mom made me do pageants, like made me.
Okay.
And like, I did not grow up very wealthy, so we had to get like sponsorships for said pageants. And she would always make me do it. I think it was because she was shyer than I was and she didn't want to ask, but she would always make me do it. And now, like inside, I still have a shy side to me, but I'm very talkative. I'm very like good in crowds, like a very social person. I bartended all through high school, all through college.
High school.
That would have been weird. Like all through college, and I have a very social job now. You know, we do the podcast and stuff, so it's just like night and day. So, and now like when I'm scared of something, I just do it. I just try to think as least about it as possible and just like do it. And like the worst case that's gonna happen is what somebody says no or laughs or something. Like I've been through worse. So yeah, I think it'd be don't be scared or do it scared. Yeah.
Do it scared, don't be scared. Yeah. That's good. That's great.
Mine's very similar to y'all's. Mine is just literally chill the F out. Like,
Stop stressing.
Yeah, like I stress so much, and it is so funny. There's this saying that says if it's not gonna affect you in 5 years, like
Don't spend more than 5 minutes on it.
Don't spend more than 5 minutes stressing about it. And I mean, I just remember the absolute stupidest things that I used to stress over, and then, you know, just to come to find out, like, the world gets a lot harder. And those problems were quite small.
Sure.
So perspective, I think it's just, but you know, age really gives you that perspective. I would say experience gives you that perspective.
Right. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Well, since Hannah took mine,
Don't be scared. Say something else.
do it scared is like my favorite quote, I guess. But the other one would be figure out who you are first and be authentic to yourself, because kind of like you said, it brings so much clarity if you have that foundation and you know who you want to be, where you're going, because people always want to throw their 2 cents in, and it can completely rock your sea if you don't know your foundation.
Right. Yeah. And I think the next part of that, though, too, is, you know, kind of taking it one step further for all this stuff is doing those things when you're in that moment. Because when you're stuck in that moment, you can't see anything else outside of that moment, and you don't realize you're that stuck, and you don't realize to go, oh yeah, we got britches on the same way today. Like, so what my wife did, I think is fantastic, and I wish she was here today too. She's awesome. She's so smart.
We love you, Sarah.
She has a tattoo across her forearm, and it's just a ring, and it's a mental reminder, as if someone were to grab your arm and like pull you from behind, like, okay, slow down. right? Is that spot where
I
someone would
love
grab
that.
your forearm and pull you back. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
So I think that helps her when she's in those moments. She,
Yeah.
she can, oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah. It's
So.
like her daily reminder of it. Yeah.
Right.
I like
we need
it.
to get her in here.
Yeah, you should.
She's just
kick-ass.
such a cool person.
Yeah.
Like, I adore her.
She's brilliant. She really is. And she homeschools 4 kids, our 4 kids somehow.
Oh
I don't know how
my
she does
gosh.
that.
That's
No,
a
me
job.
either.
I was about to say.
Yeah, I have the
job.
easy job, right?
Jeez.
I know. She's got the hard job.
I cannot imagine. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for
Yeah.
coming
Oh,
and
Thanks for
hanging out
having
with
me. This was a
us.
blast.
and
Thank
It was awesome.
you.
It was fun.
we
Appreciate
do
y'all.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Good.